Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about some different options color-wise for your pieces, and I just wanted to kind of share my thought process with you. So I, again, am matting this Vincent van Gogh print. I actually really like this color of mat board with it because it pulls out the oranges in the print. However, I don't think this piece would actually be big enough for a window mat. It just seems a little bit too short on these edges. So unfortunately, I won't be able to use that piece. And then, like, maybe I could use this piece, but it's a little bit kind of rough on this edge, and it might not be big enough either. This would probably work, but I feel like the edges, the dark edges of the print might merge a little bit with the dark mat board. But certainly it is a personal preference. You just really want to make sure that you're holding your piece up to the colored mat board, making sure that it makes sense with the piece and making correlations between the color of the mat board and the color of your piece. Okay, so what I actually decided to go with for this print is the more conservative option, which is white, or the opposite side of this mat board is cream. So I'm going to use the cream as the front of my mat. And so all of my measuring is going to be done on the back, which would be the white side. If you use the white as the front, just beware. Unfortunately, they print some numbers on the white side, and you just always want to make sure that if you're measuring on the back in that case, which would be the cream side, if the white side is the front, you just always want to make sure that that's not going to show up on your window part. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, and so since I'm going to have the cream as the front, because I do like the cream with the print, I think it brings out kind of the earthier tones in the piece. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do all of my drawing and line work on the back, which is the pure white side. Okay, so again, for this step, you can put your piece away. You can put it somewhere safe, so that way it's out of the way and you're not going to accidentally damage it while you're going through the matting process. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side. And now for measuring, I'm going to go ahead and use Mrs. Miller's measurements that she found, and I'm going to start measuring from a corner, from a nice, like, right edge, 90-degree corner. So for this, I can use a ruler because my measurements are within 18 inches, which is the size of the ruler. And so I'm going to measure from this corner, and I'm going to go ahead and just line my ruler up nice and with the edge. You would never want to do something like this because that's not actually going to be the 13 inches. You want to make sure that it's nice and flush and parallel with the edge. And then I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to put a tick mark right at the 13 inches for the width. And then I'm going to come over to the side here, and here I can just put my ruler flush, again putting the edge right against the edge of the mat board, and I'm going to go ahead and find my 15 7/8 and put a tick mark there. And then what I like to do is just go across from here and measure from this corner at 13 inches. So that way I'm measuring 13 up at the top, and then I'm measuring 13 down here at the bottom. And so that way I know that this line is not going to be crooked because I have two measured reference points. Now, unfortunately, my ruler is not going to work to go ahead and cut this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a yardstick. And so with the yardstick, I'm going to line it up with my tick mark up here, line it up with my tick mark down here, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line on the back here. Now, I can go ahead and cut that edge if I wanted to, or if there's like a lot of mat board down here, it's nice for you to just go ahead and use this line and then measure my other measurement, which is 15 7/8 for the height of the piece. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and just put this ruler nice and flush against that line. 15 7/8, put a tick mark, and then I would go ahead and connect these two tick marks. And then I'll have the perimeter of my window mat, the outer perimeter. Okay, so now for cutting. When you cut, you want to make sure that you're always working over top of one of the self-healing mats. That just protects the desk, and it also makes it easier to cut. They're really easy to cut over. It must be the rubbery material that they're made out of, as opposed to cutting into the desk, which is not good. And then you will find the self-healing mats in the top drawer in the front of the room. The mat cutters you'll find behind the chalkboard in a red container on the third shelf. And you just want to make sure that when you grab one, you have a fairly sharp blade that's going to cut easily for you. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and line my ruler up in here. And I'm going to make my hand a vise that's going to hold that yardstick down. And then you just want to hold the mat knife straight up and down, perpendicular, and cut downward. My advice here is to do lighter cuts as opposed to trying to cut it all in one cut. Often, if you try to press too hard, you lose control, and then you end up having like a really rough, straggly looking mat. And I would just continue doing cuts like that until you like feel that the knife has gone all the way through and you can like see the mat board separate. And so this is big enough that it can go back in the drawer where the scraps of mat board are, in the section where the white is located. Now I still need to cut for my height, so I'm just going to rotate this, put my ruler down, flush on that line, okay, make my hand into a vise, use the mat knife, keeping it straight up and down. You don't ever want to angle it because then it's going to angle your cut. Nice light cuts over and over, and eventually you'll feel it separate like that. This is a smaller piece. This is not big enough that it can be used to mat anything. Please put this type of piece that's too small for like a sketch or anything like that in the recycling bin. Okay,